You stand in a grand hall of polished oak, mead steaming in silver horns, the scent of roasted boar heavy in the air, and every flicker of torchlight casts shadows that could hide a dagger. For Viking nobility, the greatest threat wasn't foreign armies, but the cousin you trusted most. Flickering torches reflect off iron-reinforced doors, sending dancing light across the polished wood. A close-up reveals a noble esgauntleted hand lingering on the hilt of a hidden Sikh's beneath his cloak, fingers tightening with silent intent. The scene widens to show guests reclining on long feasting benches, their embroidered cloaks catching the warm firelight. Above, masked guards silently patrol the rafters, eyes sharp and vigilant, the metallic whisper of steel sliding smoothly into its sheath. The low murmur of conspiratorial whispers just beyond earshot, thick with tension. The weight of a gold-studded neck talk pressing cold and heavy against tensed shoulders. Tonight, we unveil the cunning tactics Viking nobles used to dodge betrayal, rivals, poisoners, and silent blades included. In the dim, flickering candlelight of a noble's hallway, shadows shift and dance across the intricately carved rune panels lining the walls. Lady Rangya moves cautiously, her cloak pulled tight against the cold, her fingers running over oil-soaked tapestries that conceal more than just fabric. Each knot and fold hides potential weapons, daggers slipped silently between folds or hidden alcoves lined with deadly spikes. The air is thick with the mingled scents of burning tallow and ancient smoke, creating a sensory tapestry of unease. Every soft crackle of the wick and gentle rustle of fabric serves as a reminder that danger lurks close. Rangya's heightened alertness reflects a world where trust is scarce and betrayal is but a whisper away. The subtle tension in the hallway is palpable, as if the very stones themselves remember the secrets they guard. This moment sets the stage for a tale of cunning and survival beneath the polished veneer of Viking nobility. Blindfolded to prevent visual deception, Jarl Harald takes a deliberate sip from the wine offered by his trusted cupbearer. The liquid warms his mouth, but an undercurrent of bitterness quickly sets his senses on edge. A faint trace of aconite, the notorious poison, lingers on his tongue. His eyes narrow, and a subtle, practiced signal alerts the nearby guards without raising alarm among the others. The room's atmosphere tightens instantly. The murmurs hush, and all eyes become alert to the silent threat. The metallic temps of the poison clashes with the rich bouquet of the wine, underscoring the thin line between hospitality and treachery. This brief moment captures the perilous balance of power within Viking halls, where every gesture could conceal deadly intent. Harald's guarded vigilance is a stark reminder that in this world, survival depends on constant suspicion and swift action. With a sudden burst of movement, armored guards surge into the corridor, their torches casting flickering light over the scuffle that ensues. The treacherous cupbearer, his cloak stained dark with fresh blood, struggles against the firm grasp of the men sworn to protect the Jarl. The clash of metal and the grunts of exertion fill the narrow hall as the guards wrest the betrayer to the ground. Simultaneously, Lady Rangya moves with practiced ease, sliding back a hidden panel that reveals a steep, shadowed stairway descending into a secret escape passage. A rush of cold, damp air greets her as she disappears into the darkness, her steps muffled by stone walls. The muffled prayers and the clatter of armor echo in the confined space. Painting a picture of high stakes and desperate measures, this swift unmasking and narrow escape encapsulate the lethal games of trust and betrayal playing out in the heart of Viking power. In the modern world, VIPs move under a constant watchful gaze. Motorcades slice through city streets, flanked by bulletproof SUVs and a phalanx of sharply dressed bodyguards. High above, snipers occupy hidden vantage points, scanning for any sign of threat. CCTV cameras track every movement, their lenses cold and unblinking. The air hums with the low roar of engines and the mechanical click of shutters capturing images in perpetuity. The atmosphere is taut with tension, every breath measured, every step calculated. This overwhelming presence of technology and personnel acts as a visible shield, designed to deter any would-be assailant with sheer force and surveillance. It's a fortress of glass and steel, built on the promise that visibility equates to safety. Yet, beneath this high-tech armor lies a universal truth. Security depends not only on tools, but on vigilance, trust, and often unseen strategy. Long before CCTV or bulletproof glass, Viking nobles mastered concealment through clever architecture and secrets buried deep. Their burial mounds, monumental in appearance, hid false bottoms and secret chambers designed to safeguard treasures and provide escape routes. In the dim silence beneath the earth, a chieftain might slip through a concealed door, dust motes drifting lazily in the scant light. The faint creak of wooden hinges and the muffled heartbeat of a fleeing lord mingle with the cold stone silence. These hidden havens were both sanctuary and trap, forged by necessity in a world where betrayal lurked close. Without modern tech, Viking elites wove survival into the very earth beneath them, proving that stealth and secrecy were as vital as swords and shields. While today's security relies on biometric scanners and digital encryption, Viking nobles trusted an ancient blend of faith and fear, bloodglyph wards and rune-etched bucklers. These magical protections were more than mere superstition. They were integral to the fabric of noble defense. Close-ups reveal shields adorned with glowing red runes, their intricate symbols pulsing faintly under candlelight. Hands trace these sacred glyphs with solemn care, whispered incantations filling the air like a protective chant. The metallic gleam of rune-carved steel contrasts with the flickering shadows, blurring the boundary between spiritual and physical defense. These wards were believed to bind fate itself, shielding their bearers from poison, betrayal, and unseen enemies. In a world without surveillance cameras, such mystical armor gave nobles confidence and courageous defense born as much from belief as from blade. This fusion of magic and warfare stands as a testament to Viking ingenuity. Where the invisible was as formidable as the tangible, Viking nobles transformed their halls into lethal fortresses, embedding false chambers, spike-lined floors, and secret passageways within grand architecture. These hidden death zones were designed to ensnare invaders and assassins alike. In the dim light, cross-sectional views reveal trapdoors snapping shut and pits concealed beneath polished floors. The faint creak of hidden doors and the glint of sharpened iron spikes evoke a sense of lurking peril. Beneath the grandeur lay a deadly chessboard, where every step might mean doom, showcasing a ruthless mastery of defensive design. More than mere decoration, runic talismans carved into weapons, door frames, and amulets bound blood-sworn assassins through mystical oaths. These wards were believed to wield power over fate itself, turning betrayal into peril. Close-ups show glowing runes pulsing faintly beneath candlelight as warriors clasp bloodied hands in solemn oath ceremonies. Whispered incantations fill the air, infusing objects with unseen energy. This fusion of magic and loyalty forged a spiritual armor as potent as steel, making the act of betrayal a death sentence from both earthly and otherworldly forces. To confuse and mislead enemies, Viking nobles employed masked doubles and staged false casualties. Shadowy figures exchange masks in dimly lit chambers, preparing to risk death in place of their lords. On battlefields, multiple leaders appear identical, sowing chaos and mistrust among foes. The rustle of cloaks and hurried breaths intensify the tension as lives are gambled in service of survival. These deceptive decoys blurred reality and illusion, proving that in Viking warfare, cunning often trumped brute force. Layers of biochemical defense shrouded Viking nobility, poisonous ointments coated weapon edges, daggers were anointed with toxins, and immune priming drafts fortified bodies against betrayal. Scenes show steady hands applying dark venom, iron pots bubbling with lethal brews, and nobles cautiously sipping bitter draughts. The sharp, acrid tang of toxins lingers, an invisible threat lurking in touch and taste. This lethal alchemy served as both protection and weapon, weaving death into the very fabric of defense. Military historians and forensic toxicologists unveiled these lethal arts, highlighting the deadly interplay of architecture, magic, and poison. Interview clips weave with dramatic reenactments of silent assassinations and guarded halls. The narration invites viewers into this shadowy world of danger and cunning. Prepare to enter a realm where every handshake could conceal death, and every wall hide a trap where Viking nobles turned survival into a deadly art. LiDAR scans and archaeological digs have unveiled a labyrinth of subfloor corridors, running beneath hill-fort ramparts, secret lifelines designed for escape and strategic movement. These hidden tunnels connected private chambers to distant riverbanks, enabling nobles to flee sieges or launch surprise attacks. The narrow, stone-lined passages echo with faint footsteps, their damp walls glistening under flickering torchlight. Animated overlays trace the twists and turns, illustrating how these clandestine routes wove beneath everyday life. These passageways were not mere conveniences, but vital arteries sustaining survival amid constant threats. For Viking elites, control of the unseen meant the difference between life and death, a subterranean network where stealth and safety merged beneath the very floors they walked. Excavations have exposed hidden chambers outfitted with removable floorboards, concealing deadly traps, rows of inverted wooden stakes sharpened to lethal points. These spike-lined floors awaited unwary invaders, a brutal welcome beneath the grandeur of Viking halls. Soil brushing reveals the gleam of ancient spikes, while reenactments simulate the snap of a trapdoor and the fatal fall into pointed death. The creak of old wood and the glint of sharpened timber evoke the tension of sudden peril hidden beneath familiar ground. Such architectural ingenuity transformed a home into a fortress, where every step might trigger demise. This marriage of craft and cruelty reveals the lethal lengths Viking nobles went to defend their lives and legacies. Threshold stones and doorframes bear intricate carvings of binding runes, magical inscriptions. Believed to ward off conspirators and evil spirits, these rune-etched wards were as much spiritual fortifications as physical barriers. Close-up shots reveal faintly glowing symbols under the flicker of candlelight, their forms traced with reverence and whispered incantations during solemn rituals. Archaeological finds show their placement at key entry points, blending sacred protection with architectural design. The hum of unseen power seemed to pulse through these stones, intertwining faith and defense in a potent mix. For Viking nobles, magic was a tangible ally, transforming stone into sentinel and runes into silent guardians against treachery. What were long believed to be noble bog bodies have been revealed as carefully crafted, straw-effagized goy, corpses designed to mislead grave robbers and assassins. Side-by-side images compare mossy, waterlogged bodies with bundles of straw clothed in finery, highlighting a deadly game of deception. Excavation scenes show the placement of these effigies within grave mounds, surrounded by rituals intended to confuse and deter. The damp, earthy scent of peat contrasts with the rustle of straw, as these decoys served as proxies for the truly important dead. This ingenious ploy bought time and protection beyond the grave, proving that Viking cunning extended even into death, blending illusion and fear to safeguard legacy. Defense was woven into the fabric of everyday Viking life. Children learned to navigate hidden tunnels as part of their upbringing, and soldiers drilled in concealed pits beneath great halls. Reenactments depict youths slipping through narrow passages, their footsteps echoing in underground chambers, while warriors emerge from trapdoors ready for combat. The blurring of home and fortress meant vigilance was constant, survival a communal endeavor. The muted sound of whispered commands mixes with the creak of wood and the clash of armor, reflecting a society where war and domesticity were inseparable. This integration of defense into daily routines exemplifies the pragmatic mindset of Viking nobility, prepared for betrayal and battle in every moment. False chambers served not only as traps, but also as mustering points for defenders during assaults. Cross-sectional animations show intruders lured into these deadly spaces, only to find themselves trapped as defenders flood in from concealed exits. The clash of steel and muffled shouts fill the confined areas, while the sharp clang of armor reverberates through stone walls. These chambers were designed to disorient and overwhelm foes, turning the invader's advantage into a fatal liability. Military historians emphasize how such architectural stratagems exemplify Viking tactical brilliance, transforming the home into a layered defensive system where every hidden room was a weapon and every door a gamble for life. Dr. Freya Lundquist, an archaeologist specializing in Viking fortifications, discusses how these defenses were not isolated features but integral to noble life and upbringing. She highlights the tunnels where children were trained, emphasizing the continuity between domestic space and battlefield readiness. Military historian Professor Leif Gunnarsson elaborates on the strategic use of false chambers as both prisons and traps, explaining their dual purpose in defense and psychological warfare. Intercut with footage from excavation sites and reenactments, their insights reveal a society where architectural innovation was central to survival. Lundquist states, "These tunnels were classrooms in stealth and endurance." Gunnarsson adds, "False chambers turned invaders into captives' defense in the shadows." Their commentary frames Viking architecture as a lethal art form blending home, war, and magic. A 3D animated fly-through slowly peels back the layers of a Viking hall to reveal the complex defensive systems beneath. Hidden tunnels snake beneath floorboards, trapdoors hinge open onto spike-lined pits, and false doors mask secret chambers. The animation highlights each element in vivid detail. Water droplets glisten on stone. Metallic spikes catch faint light, and shadows stretch deep into the earth. The ambient soundscape blends dripping water, distant echoes, and the creak of wood, immersing viewers in the hidden world beneath the hall's surface. This layered defense system exemplifies the lethal ingenuity of Viking nobles, where architecture became a weapon as formidable as sword or spear, and every stone held a secret. The sequence ends with a slow pullback to the hall's exterior, bathed in twilight, hinting at dangers lurking just beneath the surface. As the first light of dawn pierces the morning mist, nobles gather within the smoke-laden great hall atop the hill fort. Thick beams carved with ancient runes rise overhead, casting long shadows that flicker with the dancing firelight. Furs rustle softly as figures clad in heavy cloaks converse in hushed tones, the weight of impending danger hanging palpable in the cold, stone air. The crackle of the hearth-fire blends with the quiet murmur of voices and the occasional scrape of leather boots against the flagstone floor. Outside, the wind carries the faint rustling of leaves and distant calls of sentinels preparing for the day ahead. Within these walls, centuries of guarded secrets and layered defenses await activation. The tension is thick, every glance, every whispered word carries the unspoken knowledge that betrayal may be closer than the rising sun. This is not a place of idle gathering, but a bastion poised on the edge of survival. Silent as a shadow, Lady Rangya glides along the stone corridors, her keen eyes scanning every surface for hidden mechanisms. Draped in dark wool, she presses her fingers against tapestries soaked in oil to muffle sound. Her touch finds concealed latches behind embroidered, not sentient craftsmanship designed to guard against unwanted eyes. A faint click echoes as a secret panel swings open, revealing the cool darkness of a narrow passage beyond. The stale scent of stone and earth mingles with a whisper of cold air. Ragnar pauses, her breath steady, eyes alert for any sign of intrusion. Her vigilance is both routine and necessity, its inspection a safeguard for the noble bloodlines she serves. Every hidden door, every shadowed alcove speaks of whispered plots and unseen dangers. In this world of secrets, trust is a rare currency, and Lady Rangya's watchful presence is a vital shield against betrayal. In a quiet chamber, bathed in candlelight, Sigurd the runecarver prepares his sacred tools. His hands steady, he pricks his finger, letting a drop of blood mingle with finely ground charcoal. With practiced precision, he carves glowing runes onto a wooden panel destined for the great hall's threshold. Each symbol pulses faintly under the flickering flame, embodying ancient power believed to bind fate itself. Whispered incantations rise softly from Sigurd's lips, weaving spiritual protection into the wood and stone. The scratch of his knife on timber punctuates the solemn ritual, each stroke a line between this world and the unseen. These wards are more than decoration, they are living defenses against treachery and malevolent forces. For Viking nobles, the potency of runes was as real as the steel at their sides, forging a mystical barrier that guarded both body and soul. Beneath vaulted beams, Jarl Harald sits upon his carved throne, receiving envoys bearing news and demands. His gaze is sharp, yet shadowed by the knowledge of threats lurking beyond courtly protocol. Around him, advisors murmur, while Olaf, the guard captain, surveys the hall with hawk-like vigilance. Every nook and cranny is scrutinized. Blind spots where assassins might lurk are noted and mentally logged. The low hum of political discourse mingles with the soft clink of hidden weapons beneath cloaks. Envoys bow deeply, their expressions guarded. Trust is a currency harder earned than gold. Olaf's steady presence, patrolling the fringes of the council, serves as a reminder that power here is inseparable from paranoia. This gathering is both governance and guarded chess matcher, delicate balance where diplomacy and suspicion intertwine, and where the line between ally and enemy blurs beneath the vaulted ceilings. As afternoon sun glints off the river, a procession marches with purposeful pomp along the riverside. Masked doubles Dan, the guise of Jarl Harald, their faces obscured beneath ornate helmets and veils. Their footsteps echo with the rhythm of drums, cloaks billowing as they parade before watchful eyes. Meanwhile, beneath the great hall, the real Harald slips silently through shadowed tunnels, his passage hidden from prying enemies. The murmurs of the crowd above and the rustle of silk cloaks below form a stark contrast: lives gambled in deception. Each decoy moves with practiced precision, risking death to protect the true Lord. This parade is a masterstroke of misdirection, weaving illusion with reality to safeguard the lineage and maintain the fragile balance of power. In a world where enemies hide in plain sight, such cunning was as crucial as swordsmanship. As evening descends, the great hall fills with the rich aroma of roasted meats and spiced wine. Nobles gather around long tables, their faces illuminated by flickering candlelight. A hush falls as a secret toast is proposed, goblets raised high, filled with wine infused with rare herbs, known for their immune-boosting properties. The clink of goblets resonates through the hall, mingling with murmured blessings and prayers for protection. The ancient ritual blends bloodline reverence with practical health wisdom, honoring ancestors while safeguarding the present. The sweet earthiness of the herbs undercuts the robust tang of wine, creating a flavor both familiar and mysterious. This toast is more than celebration, it is an act of survival, a solemn pact to strengthen the body and spirit against the ever-present dangers of betrayal and disease. In the warmth of the hall, tradition and necessity entwine. Throughout the evening feast, masked doubles circulate near the dais, mimicking Jarl Harald's gestures and expressions with uncanny precision. Clad in identical attire, they exchange places under the watchful eyes of trusted guards, creating a shifting illusion that keeps enemies guessing. The soft rustle of fabric and subtle changes in posture are the only clues to their presence. These doubles serve as living shields, decoys who bear the risk of assassination, so the true Lord may govern unmolested. Their presence reflects the pervasive distrust woven into Viking nobility, where even the throne is a stage for deception. The dim candlelight casts fleeting shadows on their veiled faces, emphasizing the blurred line between reality and disguise. This dance of masks is a testament to the lengths nobles went to protect power, turning identity itself into a weapon in the lethal game of survival. As night falls, oil-soaked wicks ignite rune-etched lamps, placed strategically throughout the hall. These glowing beacons cast flickering shadows in the shapes of ancient symbols, believed to hold protective power against both supernatural and human threats. The soft hiss of burning oil blends with whispered prayers as nobles gather beneath their warm glow. The scent of burning herbs mingles with smoke curling toward timber-bird beams, creating an atmosphere thick with mysticism. These rune wards are both spiritual safeguards and practical deterrents, illuminating dark corners while invoking ancestral protection. The faint luminescence highlights carved stones and worn tapestries, linking the living space to a lineage of magic and defense. For Viking elites, light was not merely illumination, it was a shield, a guardian in the enveloping darkness where unseen enemies might lurk. Captain Olaf moves silently through narrow corridors, his footsteps muffled against stone floors. Cloaked in dark leather, he pauses frequently to listen, eyes sharp for the slightest movement. Passing trapdoors and hidden alcoves, Olaf knows every inch of these tunnels, secret lifelines woven beneath the hall. The distant drip of water and occasional scurry of unseen creatures accompany his patrol, heightening the tension in the confined space. The faint scent of smoke and oil clings to the air, mingling with the mustiness of underground stone. Olaf's vigilant presence is a bulwark against betrayal, his steady gaze a warning to those who might breach defenses. This solitary watchman embodies the relentless vigilance required to safeguard nobility in a world where threats emerge from shadows, and survival demands eternal alertness. A sudden, muffled rumble breaks the night's stillness. An intruder triggers a concealed pit trap, beneath creaking floorboards. The wooden lid snaps open, plunging the unwary into a chamber lined with sharpened stakes. The fall is disorienting. Muffled shouts echo upward as the trapdoor slams shut, sealing doom below. Dust rises in slow spirals as silence returns, broken only by the faint drip of water echoing through the dark abyss. Shadows flicker as distant footsteps approach, signaling the arrival of defenders ready to capture or dispatch the trapped foe. The pit trap exemplifies the lethal ingenuity embedded in Viking architecture, deadly embrace hidden beneath the everyday, turning home into fortress and invader into prisoner. This moment underscores the perilous nature of noble defense, where trust is scarce and every step might be the last. A sudden, muffled rumble breaks the night's stillness. An intruder triggers a concealed pit trap beneath creaking floorboards. The wooden lid snaps open, plunging the unwary into a chamber lined with sharpened stakes. The fall is disorienting. Muffled shouts echo upward as the trapdoor slams shut, sealing doom below. Dust rises in slow spirals as silence returns, broken only by the faint drip of water echoing through the dark abyss. Shadows flicker as distant footsteps approach, signaling the arrival of defenders ready to capture or dispatch the trapped foe. The pit trap exemplifies the lethal ingenuity embedded in Viking architecture, deadly embrace hidden beneath the everyday, turning home into fortress and invader into prisoner. This moment underscores the perilous nature of noble defense, where trust is scarce and every step might be the last. In the dim light of the hall's armory, Olaf draws a slender dagger coated with a gleaming layer of venom. The blade's dark sheen contrasts with the flickering torchlight as droplets form at its tip. The subtle hiss of poison is nearly drowned by the soft murmur of guards on watch. Close-ups capture the meticulous application of Toxina blend crafted from rare herbs and animal venoms, designed to incapacitate or kill with the slightest wound. Olaf's steady hands steady the blade, his expression grim with the knowledge of its deadly potential. This venom-anointed weapon is more than a tool, it is a silent sentinel, an extension of defense where physical barriers end. In a world shadowed by betrayal, such biochemical defenses offered an invisible edge, turning touch into threat and caution into survival. As first light tinges the horizon, Jarl Harold slips quietly through a concealed passage leading beneath the hall to a secret key hidden by thick reeds. Mist clings to the river's surface, muffling sounds and casting an eerie stillness over the water. Harold steps cautiously onto a waiting boat, the soft lapping of waves a whispered promise of freedom. The pale glow of dawn reflects off oars dipping rhythmically. As loyal boatmen propel the vessel silently downstream, away from the threats that stalk the hillfort. The air is cool and heavy, with the scent of river mud and morning dew. This covert escape route, honed by generations of nobles, represents more than flight. It is the culmination of centuries of layered defenses and cunning survival. Harold's safe passage embodies the fusion of secrecy, loyalty, and ancient craft, ensuring the bloodline endures beyond the perils of the day. Runic inscriptions etched into the heavy wooden doorways of Viking halls were far more than mere decoration. They carried solemn oaths that bound nobles and warriors alike. Each rune acted as a mystical contract, invoking dire curses and fatal consequences upon anyone who dared break their word. These glowing symbols, faintly illuminated by flickering torchlight, resonated with a palpable sense of dread and reverence. The sharp scratch of carving tools echoes softly in the background. Interwoven with whispered curses passed down through generations, these inscriptions served as psychological weapons, enforcing loyalty and punishing betrayal through fear of both earthly retribution and supernatural wrath. For Vikings, law and magic were inseparable. Runes were the ultimate enforcers of social order, weaving fear directly into the very thresholds of their homes and halls. The looming threat of these ancient words instilled a somber respect that transcended mortal authority, binding kin and foe in a web of inescapable consequence. In the dim light of a secluded chamber, allies gathered to partake in one of the most sacred Viking rituals. The blood pact. With solemn hands, they grasped a carved drinking horn filled with a mixture of their own blood, symbolizing a bond deeper than mere words. As crimson liquid passed between them, each sip carried the weight of spiritual and mortal consequences. Betrayal meant not just political ruin, but a curse upon the soul. The metallic temps lingered on the tongue, mingling with the pounding heartbeats of those sworn to unwavering loyalty. This ritual transformed fragile alliances into unbreakable vows, forging trust through shared sacrifice. Visuals capture close-ups of intertwined hands and the gleam of the crimson horn, while the atmosphere hums with quiet intensity. In this sacred exchange, Vikings intertwined fate and faith, ensuring that blood once shared could never be forgotten or betrayed without dire cost. The art of deception extended beyond blades and battlefields into the very presence of Viking nobility. Masked doubles, cloaked in identical garb, moved silently through shadowed corridors, swapping masks with practiced ease to create a web of uncertainty for any who might seek to harm their lord. This psychological warfare kept enemies guessing. No one could be certain which face behind the veil was genuine, sowing confusion and fear among rival factions. The soft rustle of fabric and faint, tense silence pervade the scene as these figures execute their roles flawlessly. The blurred lines between reality and illusion provided nobles with a form of protection that was as much mental as physical. This strategy transformed identity into a living shield, where even the most perceptive assassins struggled to discern truth from carefully crafted disguise, reinforcing a fortress of shadows around the throne. Within monastic kitchens and noble chambers, herbalists brewed potent draughts believed to shield the body from poison and disease. These immune-priming potions, steeped in a blend of bitter roots and fragrant herbs, were consumed by nobles before council or battle. The earthy aroma of simmering botanicals filled the air as cauldrons bubbled softly over low flames. Visuals show monks carefully measuring ingredients and pouring steaming brews into iron goblets, while modern science might question their efficacy. For Vikings, these draughts offered psychological strength, a tangible assurance against unseen threats. The gentle bubbling and rich scent formed a ritual of protection, turning faith into a potent defensive tool. This fusion of traditional medicine and belief bolstered confidence, preparing the body and mind to face betrayal and harm with resilience. Grounded in both nature and ritual, Viking nobles did more than fortify walls. They ritualized fear itself, forging psychological armor through ceremonies and layered superstitions. Priests chanted protective incantations over weapons, while warriors performed rites designed to channel dread into courage. The echoing chants and rhythmic drumming filled the halls, weaving a sonic tapestry that bound participants in shared resolve. Visuals capture the solemnity of ritual gatherings, hands clutching runic amulets, eyes closed in focused prayer. These fear management techniques functioned much like modern security protocols, instilling discipline and trust among kin while intimidating foes. The mind became a fortress, where belief fortified resolve and warded off panic. This sophisticated interplay of faith, psychology, and ritual enabled Vikings to confront mortal danger not only with steel, but with unwavering mental strength forged in tradition. Belief in runic curses, blood oaths, and protective rituals transcended mere superstition. It wove social control and defense into the very fabric of Viking society. Kin and enemies alike were bound by the power of fear and faith, enforcing obedience and deterring betrayal. Close-ups of solemn faces and weathered runic tablets emphasize the gravity of these bonds, while whispered promises and the crackling hearth evoke the communal weight of such convictions. This intertwining of magic and social order created a powerful deterrent that shaped interactions and upheld hierarchy. In a world rife with suspicion and danger, belief itself became a weapon, silent force that held clans together and kept foes at bay. The intangible power of fear and faith thus served as a foundational element of Viking defense, a legacy etched in both stone and spirit. Dr. Sigrid Thamson, a cultural psychologist, sheds light on the ritualized nature of Viking fear management, likening it to contemporary layered security systems. Interview footage shows her discussing how ceremonies, oaths, and symbolic defenses transformed paralyzing dread into coordinated vigilance. Reenactments of protective rites accompany her insights, illustrating the community's collective harnessing of fear as a tool for survival. Thompson explains, they ritualized dread, turning fear from a crippling force into organized defense. These practices built trust and cohesion among kin, deterring betrayal through psychological and spiritual means. Her analysis highlights the sophistication of these ancient strategies, revealing them as precursors to modern psychological security measures. This expert perspective bridges past and present, emphasizing how belief systems serve not just cultural but functional roles in defense and social order. Viking defense extended beyond physical barriers. It was a living art crafted from belief, ritual, and psychological mastery. A montage of runes, masked doubles, and herbal brews fades slowly into the soft glow of dawn. The rising wind carries with it the fading echoes of chants, a reminder that defense was as much about the unseen forces as it was about steel and stone. Sensory details of crackling fire and whispering voices underscore this intangible legacy. This concluding reflection highlights how deterrence was woven into every aspect of noble life, blurring lines between magic and reality. The art of defense was not just survival, it was a cultural tapestry binding kin and foe alike in a dance of trust, fear, and power that still resonates through history. In the shadowed halls of Viking nobility, defense extended beyond steel to the deadly touch of poison-coated gauntlets. Artisans crafted salves from potent plants like aconite and hellebore substances, so toxic that any scratch from a gauntlet could deliver a fatal dose. Close-up visuals reveal rough hands methodically rubbing dark, viscous ointments onto leather gauntlets, the sticky residue catching dim torchlight. A reenactment shows a swift slash landing on an attacker's arm, the wound darkening ominously as the toxin takes hold. The bitter, acrid scent of herbs fills the air, mingling with the rapid heartbeat of both attacker and defender. This lethal touch served as an invisible shield, transforming even a defensive parry into a weapon of death. For Vikings, survival was a deadly game of contact where poison became a silent sentinel guarding life and legacy. Beyond physical defenses, Viking nobles fortified themselves from within with herbal brews, designed to prime the immune system against poisons and illnesses. Monks and healers meticulously blended botanicals like angelica and yarrow into thick, bitter tinctures consumed daily at dawn. Visuals depict a monk stirring a bubbling cauldron, steam rising as sunlight filters through a monastery window. Nobles sip from iron goblets, the earthy aroma of herbs permeating the air and lending an air of solemn ritual to each swallow. Though modern science questions the full efficacy, these tonics offered both physiological and psychological resilience, transforming fear into fortified confidence. This blend of faith and biology underscores Viking adaptability, where ancient remedies served as early medicine, binding health to tradition. Concealed beneath heavy cloaks and leather girdles, razor-sharp Seek's blades provided nobles with a final, deadly defense against unseen threats. The quiet slide of steel freed from scabbards and belts is captured in close-up shots, highlighting the craftsmanship of these hidden weapons. A shadowed corridor frames a swift parry and counterstrike as a noble reacts to an ambush attempt. The metallic scrape of blade against weapon, coupled with held breath and rapid eye movement, conveys tense readiness. These concealed Seekses were not just tools of war, but symbols of vigilance, constant reminders that danger could strike at any moment. In a world where betrayal lurked close, having a hidden edge meant the difference between survival and death. Scattered through noble halls were small fumigation chambers, where herbs and pitch burned to cleanse the air of toxic mists and malevolent spirits. Thick smoke curled from stone alcoves, filling rooms with fragrant but acrid haze designed to purify and protect. Visuals reveal nobles wafting fragrant smoke toward faces, eyes closed in solemn ritual. The crackling of embers blends with soft chanting, evoking a sacred atmosphere. These smoke-cleansing practices served both practical and spiritual purposes, warding off airborne poisons and invoking divine protection. In an era without modern ventilation or chemical knowledge, this aromatic defense was vital, enveloping spaces in a cleansing shroud believed to safeguard mind and body from unseen harms. Ancient saga manuscripts preserve recipes for herbal antidotes born from desperate necessity and generations of trial. Weathered parchment pages turn slowly to reveal intricate drawings of plants alongside handwritten formulas, some stained with the passage of time. These antidotes combine botanical knowledge and folk wisdom to combat poisons and ailments, soften the difference between life and death. Visuals alternate between close-ups of aged texts and skilled hands mixing herbal brews in rustic vessels. The rustle of parchment and the scent of ink-laden fingers add tactile depth to the scene. These records offer a window into Viking pharmacopoeia, a living tradition forged in shadowed kitchens and battlefields, demonstrating a legacy of resilience where knowledge was passed not only by sword, but by leaf and root. Professor Marcus Reed, a forensic toxicologist, unravels the chemical secrets behind Viking biochemical defenses, while Dr. Ingrid Falk, an ethnobotanist, traces the botanical lore embedded within ancient healing traditions. Interviews weave between lab footage analyzing plant compounds and reenactments of medieval preparation. Reed explains, these biochemical tricks predate formal pharmacology, ingenious applications of natural toxins and remedies designed to protect and kill. Falk adds, saga manuscripts aren't mere stories. They encode real medicinal knowledge passed through generations. Together, they reveal how Viking biochemical practices blended science and superstition, crafting a lethal arsenal from nature's bounty. Their insights illuminate a world where poison was both weapon and cure, where survival depended on understanding the fine line between harm and healing. A detailed animation traces toxin molecules as they penetrate skin layers, while immune-boosting tonics circulate through the bloodstream, neutralizing harmful agents. The molecular dance highlights how contact poisons like aconite bind to nerve endings, triggering paralysis, while herbal compounds activate the body's defenses. Visual overlays demonstrate the pH changes and chemical reactions neutralizing toxins, accompanied by a subtle molecular pulse soundscape. This immersive portrayal reveals an ancient pharmacopoeia, alive and at work within Viking warriors, merging natural chemistry with human physiology. The animation underscores the sophistication of these biochemical defenses, showcasing the remarkable ingenuity of pre-modern survival strategies that blur the line between alchemy and early medicine. A sweeping montage blends images of herbs, runes, and weaponry with scenes from modern pharmacological labs. The rising wind carries faint echoes of ancient chanting as soft laboratory hums emerge. Visual transitions highlight the continuity from Viking biochemical defenses to today's medicinal chemistry. The montage evokes the artful balance between death and life, how poisons became shields, and how survival inspired scientific discovery. Sensory details of rustling leaves and flickering candlelight fade into sterile lab light and measured pipettes, bridging past and present. This final reflection celebrates Viking biochemical ingenuity as a foundation for modern medicine and warfare, a testament to human creativity in the face of mortal danger. In today's high-stakes world, VIPs retreat into panic rooms, fortified sanctuaries designed as a final refuge from danger. These rooms boast reinforced steel walls, independent air filtration systems, and encrypted communication lines, ensuring safety even when threats breach the outer defenses. Visuals reveal sleek interiors with biometric locks engaging as steel doors slide shut with a resonant thud. The low hum of ventilation and the beeping of security panels create a tense yet controlled atmosphere. This cutting-edge refuge represents the ultimate last line of defense, shielding the powerful from both physical and digital threats. The emotional weight lies in the isolation and readiness, an unyielding bastion in an era defined by ever-evolving dangers. Despite advances in technology, the core desire remains unchanged: to create a secure space where survival is assured when all else fails. Long before modern security systems, Viking nobles mastered deception through architectural cunning. Hidden beneath grand halls were false chambers and secret tunnels built to bewilder intruders and provide nobles with concealed escape routes. Archaeological cross-sections reveal labyrinthine passages veiled beneath stone floors. Empty rooms, echoing with the footsteps of would-be invaders, lost to confusion. The faint creaking of shifting floorboards and whispered echoes fill these hidden spaces. This ancient ruse turned architecture itself into a weapon of survival, blurring the line between sanctuary and trap. The emotional resonance lies in the silent dance of predator and prey, where deception was a shield, and the ability to disappear was the ultimate defense. These designs speak to a world where physical barriers were supplemented by psychological warfare, proving that survival was as much about cunning as combat. Modern security leverages advanced biosensors, chemical detectors, scanning for toxins and biological threats in the environment. In stark contrast, Viking nobles fortified themselves internally, drinking herbal tonics brewed from angelica, yarrow, and other botanicals believed to prime the immune system against poisons. Visuals juxtapose sterile lab instruments analyzing air samples with monks carefully mixing and distributing thick herbal concoctions in stone vessels. The sterile hum of scientific devices contrasts with the earthy steam and rich aromas rising from cauldrons. While modern technology focuses on external detection and prevention, ancient methods sought to bolster the body's defenses from within. Emotionally, this comparison reveals humanity's persistent quest for protection, whether through cutting-edge sensors or faith in nature's healing power. It highlights an evolving biosphere of defense, where biology and technology merge across centuries in the service of survival. The cutting edge of modern deception is deepfake technology, digital fabrications that can imitate voices and faces with uncanny accuracy to confuse adversaries. Viking nobles, lacking digital tools, used a more tangible form of illusion: masked doubles. These shadowy figures mimicked the nobles' gestures and mannerisms, switching places to confound assassins and spies. Visuals cut between flickering computer screens, rendering deepfakes and cloaked nobles swapping masks behind heavy tapestries. The soft rustle of fabric and muffled breaths accompany scenes of doubles stepping into the light, their faces obscured yet indistinguishable from the true lord. The emotional tension is palpably. Identity becomes fluid, trust fragile, and the enemy's certainty shattered. This psychological warfare underscores a timeless principle. Deception is a powerful shield, capable of turning perception into protection, transcending the boundaries of time and technology. Justice today enforces loyalty and punishment through courts, legal codes, and high penalties for betrayal. Vikings sought similar social control through rune curses carved into stone thresholds and monuments. These mystical inscriptions bound oathbreakers with threats of spiritual and physical doom. Visuals contrast modern courtroom scenes: caval strikes, solemn judges with rune-inscribed stones glowing faintly in torchlight. The chanting of ancient incantations echoes alongside the stern voice of a prosecutor. These rune curses operated as both deterrents and bindings, their power rooted in belief and fear of supernatural retribution. Emotionally, they represent a society where law and magic coexisted to maintain order, where consequences extended beyond the physical to the spiritual realm. This interplay between formal justice and mystical enforcement reveals how Vikings leveraged all means to secure allegiance and safeguard power. Dr. Emma Clark, a security analyst, elucidates how deterrence thrives on uncertainty, whether through ancient runes or modern surveillance systems. Her interview cuts to sociologist Dr. Naveen Patel, who frames protection as a blend of ritual and technology evolving across eras to safeguard elites. Clark states, "Deterrence through uncertainty keeps adversaries guessing. It's a strategy as old as power itself." Patel adds, "Rituals and tech are not opposites, but partners. Each era harnesses tools available to create psychological and physical barriers." Visuals interweave expert commentary with reenacted scenes of Viking defenses and modern security measures, emphasizing the continuity of protective logic. The emotional impact lies in recognizing how human ingenuity shapes defense, blending mysticism, architecture, and technology into timeless strategies for survival and control. From rune wards etched in stone to firewalls guarding data, self-protection has evolved while preserving core logic. Keep your enemies uncertain. A montage seamlessly blends ancient Viking fortifications dissolving into the steel and glass facades of modern skyscrapers, punctuated by digital security icons pulsating softly. The rising wind and rhythmic digital pulses create an immersive soundscape, underscoring humanity's relentless drive to innovate defense. This continuity highlights not just technological progress, but a fundamental human instinct to survive through misdirection and layered security. Emotionally, it is a testament to the enduring creativity and adaptability of societies facing persistent threats, revealing that though the tools change, the strategy endures. Across centuries and civilizations, the deadly dance of shadows and secrets persist a game where survival hinges on outwitting unseen enemies. Silhouetted figures move through candlelit chambers as modern security cameras silently track movement in urban nightscapes. The whispers of ancient rituals blend with the hum of digital surveillance, forging an unbroken lineage of defense. Sensory details of whispered breaths and electronic beeps punctuate the scene. The emotional core is resilience, a shared human story of vigilance and ingenuity that transcends time. Ultimately, this closing reflection honors the art of deterrence as a vital thread weaving through history, reminding viewers that protection is both an ancient practice and a living necessity in a world where danger never sleeps. Dawn breaks gently over a quiet hill fort, its hidden entrances sealed tight, traps concealed beneath earth and stone once more. Soft morning light spills across weathered rune-inscribed walls, casting long shadows that hint at secrets kept. Inside, Lady Rania methodically secures the last hidden panel of her chamber, placing fresh runes at the threshold, silent guardians for the day ahead. Cut to a modern VIP in a sleek security room, logging out of encrypted communications. Eyes tracking camera feeds as they sweep methodically, an echo of the same primal instinct for safety across the centuries. They lived in a world where trust could be mortal and magic as tangible as steel. Their true genius was weaving defense into every hall, turning belief itself into an unbreakable barrier. Architecture, ritual, and chemistry melded seamlessly to form shields that protected bloodlines and legacies alike. What modern eyes see as superstition was their lifeline, an evolving art of survival where danger bred unmatched creativity and resilience. Through fear, they found not paralysis but profound invention. So next time you lock your doors, engage security protocols, or update your defenses, remember, true innovation thrives where the stakes are highest and peril most real. A close-up of a single rune-inscribed stone set above a concealed door, bathed in soft morning light, a testament to security, born of necessity and human ingenuity.